Number one.
Thank you, Patty.
Two.
This is 3.
Yeah. Um,
There we go, guys. I hope you can hear us. Maggie, are you here with me?
I am here. Let me
Hello,
unmute.
everyone. So, Maggie, I'll let you do a quick introduction and then I will jump in.
Welcome, everyone. I hope your wines are chilled and you're ready to play this fun game. My name is Maggie Rosen. I hope everybody can hear me. I am a Penn grad from a while ago, and I'm a journalist and I write about the wine and spirits industry, which is going through a tough time at the moment, but hopefully things will start to pick up. And I'm a member of 67 Pall Mall, which is a fantastic, fairly new club, about 4 years old, and it's devoted entirely to wine and food. It's on the corner of Pall Mall, just over the road from Berry Brothers on St. James's. And it has 2 or 3 floors of restaurant and bar space and a huge team of fantastic sommeliers. And I think it has the largest wine cellar in all of Europe, or at least the largest number of references. If anybody is interested in becoming a member or wants to know more about it, get in touch with me afterwards. But enjoy this, and I'm going to hand over to Nelson, who's going to sing the Italian national anthem for you.
Not yet, not yet. So guys, let me put on the screen share. So first of all, welcome all. So I don't know if this is your first virtual tasting. It's going to be really interesting because like the system that we adopted is we are the only one doing it that I know so far. I heard that 2 other people were trying some systems, so let me know as well what you think of it. I'll tell you straight away, the chat is your most useful friend. As everything that passes through your mind, you can use also the Q&A box if you have any question at all that you want to ask. Okay, sometimes wine tasting are a bit weird, and sometimes you feel like, oh, maybe I don't know that thing and I'm a bit shy to ask, and I was like that when I started. So you can use your Q&A box and I will respond. I think there's an option to go anonymous in case, but I will try to cover everything. But again, Q&A and the chat is the best thing, because technically I want to see you chatting as much as you can. That's the best way. Like most of my job is based on the audience, and I know you guys are fantastic already. Let me give you a bit of an idea. I, Nelson Pari, I am the event supervisor sommelier of 67 Pall Mall. We are the biggest wine club in the world. Biggest selection by the glass ever made is around 900 wines by the glass, and the reference is going around over, I think, 6,000, 7,000. It's crazy. Yeah, guys, let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me well? Yeah, all good, all good. Just extra check because the Zoom and the internet is going crazy in the last few days. Technically, the thing is that like 67 Pall Mall started as a place for wine lovers. For wine experts mainly, and then he opened up to wine lovers. So even if you are like literally coming to zero, joining 67 Pall Mall is the best way to learn, because usually we have a team of 17 sommeliers most of the time, and we are more than happy to guide you through whatever it is. So I know that for some of you is maybe not maybe the first wine tasting, probably the first online wine tasting. I don't know, but like in case, I'm just gonna guide you through a bit on the actual tasting process. So the thing is that like there's a thing that I do most of the time in other webinars in which I'm explaining the types of sometimes like wine presenters. Let me find this really funny thing that I have. Let me go and find it. Is somewhere else, because like I remember my first wine tastings, and I remember I felt really stupid most of the time. I don't know if you had the same feeling. Let me know in the chat. And that's because when we talk about people in wine, we like to feel cool about it, and most of the time, just to feel cool, we just need to use to abuse of words. Let's say that. So this is how I usually see it. Let me open the slide. You can start. This is a suggestion that I give you straight away to open every single wine. That's the best thing, at least from the small bottles. Just open all of them because they, the more they breathe, and the better it gets. So let me start this. So this is what I usually say. Um, bam. So there are usually three kinds of wine presenters. One is the poet, which is the one that basically says a lot of words and you're just like, okay, I didn't understand anything that you said. The second one is the philosopher that starts talking about the wine and then suddenly you're talking about famous writer like Dostoevsky or James Joyce for no reason, okay? Or, old music of the past, like, that remembers me the old tunes of Big Spiderback. And you're just like, what does that mean? And then there's the expert, the one that talks about soils, geology, and stuff. I have spent enough time to craft the art of all three of these, but it is not all of my style. So whatever question you have, I'm more than happy to guide you through. Remember, from the hardest question that you might have to the simplest one. So please don't feel like you have any obligation to stay silent if you don't get anything. I'm happy even to go through things more than once in case. So going back to how to taste, the color is not going to be very important today, but usually from the color, sometimes you can tell age and if there's some oak treatments, like sometimes when the color is really light, and maybe that means that there is specific in whites to certain varieties, and when they're like really golden, it gets to be, like maybe a bit more of aging, or sometimes it's just, the oak treatment that really gives the color to the wine. When it gets to the red, it's mostly about the varietals. When you have like really light thingies, it might be mostly because is just like a Pinot Noir variety, a Grenache, and when they're really deep is maybe a Cabernet Sauvignon. But today I'm gonna tell you the grapes. So you just, or sometimes the variety, so what they represent. So what it means, what is really important today is like, let's start with the nose. So the thing that I would like you to get, just to go in together, is how strong do you think the flavor is? Usually people are just ranking 1 to 5. I'm fine with that. So let's say today everything is 1 to 5. So just put the thing on your nose and just say, okay, wine number 1 smells 3 to me, and wine number 4 smells let's say 5 or 2, and so you can do comparison, because the thing is that today we're going to drink everything in couples. So basically it's going to be 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and usually there's this thing, how many flavors can you actually get? It's not a run. It's not like, okay, who gets more flavors wins. It's just like more, how we can get, like which flavors can we get and how defined they are. You might find some lemon, okay, or lemon peel, but how much can you say, okay, this is just a hint of a lemon peel, or it's just like an actual lemon peel? And then the hardest bit, which is pretty much the yeah, I just read now. Yeah, open all the bottle caps. And the last one is the palate, which is, okay, the palate is going to be probably the most complex bit, because there are many things to assess. The first one is the acidity. Acidity is really easy. It's really easy. It's slightly even disgusting. So what you can do is, like, you take the wine, you just pass it through, drink them, and then you see how much you're salivating. So that's pretty much how you can tell acidity. The more saliva you create after, after drinking a wine, and the more acidity you can, and then you can start saying, okay, that makes me salivate 3 instead of 5. Tannins are like a substance that you will feel in the last couple of wines. Is mostly, let's say, it's only on red wines, okay? And basically, let's say if you make your wine pass through the gums, you will then feel an astringency kind of feeling, and those are the tannins. I just want to know how strong you feel them in the last 2 wines. Then many people are talking about the body of the wine. It's really easy. When you say the body of the wine, let's say it can be a complex thing. Let's just say, as a starter, the body is technically the alcohol. So how much do you feel a burning sensation in your throat? Most of the time that gives you an idea of how much alcohol there is. And sometimes there's a bit of a tricky thing. If you've been out sometimes and drinking, a bottle of wine or a couple or 3 or maybe more, and you wake up the morning after, you're just like, oh man, I didn't feel that thing at all yesterday. It's just because alcohol integrates sometimes. So you might have some wines that are like 16% alcohol, and you drink all of them because it's so well integrated that you actually don't feel any sensation. And then the finish. The finish is just mainly, like how long does the taste last in your mouth, like in your palate. Sometimes there's a big discrepancy between the nose and the palate, but most of the time, most of the flavors are like mirroring each other. But we will see. I want to know what you feel. I am just here basically to moderate this. Um, so today we're doing like a crazy thing, and is Italy versus France. So this is how it works. There are a few main points that you can get from Italy and France. So they're both. I wrote new is old. They're both from the old world. So this is the thing that we talk about it all the times. So the old world is everything that regards like Europe. So when you drink a wine from Greece, from Germany, from Italy, from France, they refer to as wine from the old world. When you're drinking it from America, Chile, Argentina, that's the new world. Australia is the new world. Usually there's a huge difference just on the fruit profile, and when you drink a French Chardonnay, the fruit is really tart. You can feel like you're salivating a lot, and like when you're sucking it up on a lemon, is exactly the same kind of fruit. When instead in America, Australia, and Chile, the fruit tends to be more ripe. So you feel like more of a not cooked caramel, cooked character, but like sometimes can be cooked or a bit jammy. So the thing is that like this is how this taste works. Italy and France, they have more similarities than differences, and that's the thing. Like this is not about getting it right. I mean, it's about getting it right also. But both ways, like if you win, you win. But if you lose, you win as well. Because this tasting is, I set it up, this tasting, to create a wow factor as well. So actually, if you don't get it, I will be happier, because I think that like is also more to create the wine factor, the wow factor. Because sometimes when I'm drinking a wine from France, I think most of the time that is already great, and most of the times I am hugely satisfied. But Italy still sometimes have some way to go, and I'm here just to show you how near they can be. And I picked up pretty much styles that even if you don't know, it's great that now you have the experience of tasting them. So at the end, everything is about small details. The only key that I can give you is that France, 99.9% of the time, will be usually more elegant. So this is what you need to do now. Please get your kit out and start pouring wine number 1 and wine number 2. And it's time for you to just okay. So they ask a few things. They are I made a mistake on the slide. The slide says new world is from the old world. Okay. So you guys in Paris rooting for the French. I mean, to be fair, most of the time I root for the Frenches as well. So lots of wine poets use elegant. Yes, loads of them they use it. The thing is that, like, let's say, is easier to say it compared to the word rustic. So Italian wines are usually more rustic. Why? It's a matter of technique in vinification. So when you have when you have loads of money to spend or a lot of experience in how to treat the grapes, then you know how to let's say work on imperfections. And Italian wine is generally playing on the advantage of his mistakes. So there are some techniques, or let's say proper mistakes, that in Italian wines finds their hint of finesse. I'll give you an idea. There's a thing called volatile acidity, which is exactly, to put it really easy, is the amount of wine that is turning into vinegar. Is a thing that usually in every wine goes around between 0.3 and 0.6. In Italian wines, it's already 1.2. And the thing is that, like, if you take that amount of vinegar flavors in the wine in Italy, you will not feel the general flavors moving. So it's really weird, and is a part of the rustic tradition of Italy. Instead, in France, there's like way more technology. You know, if you go to Bordeaux right now, most people are using like optical readers. So they just say in the computer, oh, I want this grape to be this amount of ripeness, and then the computer just select every single berries. In Italy, we're still probably picking everything and just checking, or so there's a bit of a difference. Okay, I'm just generalizing in this case. So when I mean elegant, in this case, let's say you have wine number one and wine number two. One of the two will taste slightly more clean than the other. Okay, and there might be a 99% choice, but that one is the actually is the French one. It might not be the case, because I all the producers that are drinking today are great producers. So please have wine number one and wine number two, and just, can you see that, like, the color is pretty much the same? If you guys do you guys agree with me? Write in the chat if you do or if you don't. And I want you to focus on the nose. So if you can tell me, let's just stay with wine number one for a bit. So for much people, wine number one is slightly clearer. Yeah, might be. Yeah, so all the colors, like the colors are similar. Yeah, but might be just like a, let's say, 100% point, maybe just a 5% of change, and it might be in wine number one being slightly clearer. Might be. What about the flavor profile? So what I'm asking now is that if you guys can just stick your nose up, let's focus a bit more on wine number one, and then I'll tell you my flavors, because I had tasted them this morning. So already some people are saying that two has to be French. Might be or might be not. Maybe I've been good enough to, but I want to know from you guys, what are the flavors of number one? And yeah, okay, so we start with grapefruit. Yeah, that's a great profile. For me, like, I will say that this grapefruit is tart enough to create, the kind of lemony bit. Both of the two wines, I will say, are really, really lemony. Yeah. One is more flavorable than two. Yeah, one probably has. Don't finish all of it. It would be good, guys, if you just stick with the first one, and then, because I'm gonna talk about the wines in literally a minute. Two is sweeter, one honest succulent caramel. Yes, absolutely. And gave me some flavors as well for number two. Just get a bit in there. So yeah, you guys are nailing all of this so far. So that's great. I've prepared a poll that is gonna go up in a few minutes, in which you will have to tell me if the wine is Italian or French. Two stone fruits. Yeah, absolutely. They can be more than a peachy flavor. It might be more on the nectarine bit, like something a bit more tartish, because both of them are, one tasted thin, bracing. Okay, so guys, let's do this thing now. Taste wine number one and focus on these things. One is how much you salivate, and two, how long it lasts in your mouth. And then tell me a bit more. So meanwhile, I'll read and okay, two has higher acidity than one. One is more dry and two feels smoother. These are all correct guesses. This should give you already a bit of ideas. I'll give you a couple of minutes more, guys. And this is what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna launch a poll. So right now, you will find a poll in which you have to tell me if this wine is Italian or French. It's like a bit of, so we're talking about wine number one, okay? So I feel like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? What Jeremy was doing? It was great. I'm gonna wait for a couple of minutes just for you guys to tell. It's pretty strong, guys. You're going really great. Everybody, I can tell you, you haven't seen it, but many of you went for the same. Mostly, I would say we're now 80% on one thing. Just wait a bit more. Everyone says like 1 is more rustic and 2 has a longer finish. 1 higher acidity, lighter, less eloquent. Yeah. So as you can see, like both of these wines to me, yeah, absolutely. Go for a drink, drink number 2, absolutely. 2 is Muva, 1 is higher acidity. Okay, so you see, like that's another thing. When people are saying like this wine has high acidity, we have all different palates. So for some of you, 1 could be, you know, a bit higher in acidity than number 2, and that depends mostly on the flavor profile. Okay, I'm just waiting a couple of bits more because we have some of you who hasn't voted yet. So let me know. I will close the poll in 1 minute exactly. 1 is easier to drink, less acid, more floral. Yeah, absolutely, it might be. And there's a reason for it. There are like a few reasons for everything that you have said. Still a bit of you not on the poll. It should be near the chat. So guys, because I am launching it, so I don't know where you actually are gonna see the poll. So if you guys can tell in the chat where you actually have it, there should be like usually a window that comes in. Ah, fantastic, beautiful. 2 easier to drink. It should be, I don't know, just for you, Ian. It usually it pops up, and even for Lauren and Lori. Usually it, I don't know, it changes for every computer. That's why Zoom is a bit annoying sometimes. It just opens up as another window to me, or sometimes it just pops up when I launch it in the middle of the screen. In case, just tell me if you don't see anything, please, guys. For whoever who doesn't have like the poll right now, just can you write for me straight if you think if that is Italian or French? So in that way, I can just add that up in case. Many people are not seeing the poll. It should be on a separate window. So please, guys, if you don't see the poll, just write your answer here. So we will have, because like it's just literally maybe 8 of you who cannot see it. So just write to me if you see. For the results, I'm just waiting for these couple of people. 1 Italy, 2 is French. Fantastic. So let me end the poll and share with you the results. There we go, guys. So the 80% of you said that wine number 1 is Italian and wine number 2 is French. Let's do the reveal. Well done, guys. So wine number 1 is Villa Bucci Verdicchio dei Castelli Viesi from Marche in the center of Italy. And the second one is Domaine Vrigno Chablis. So let me give you, well done. Well done. Did you see that 1 is slightly rustic, not in the flavor profile itself. It's just that all the fruit is a bit less elegant, as a poet would say. You know, like the way that lemony bit is delivered is completely different from number 1. For number 2, sorry. Number 2, okay, it's easier to talk about number 2. Number 2 is a Chablis. You probably saw loads of Chablis around. You probably might know where Chablis is. Chablis is a village on top of Burgundy. And the particularity of this place is that, like, basically in the deep soil, there's a typical character type of chalk, and it's the same chalk that you will find in Champagne. Basically, this type of chalk creates, basically, I'm going really technical, but really easy. It creates loads of acidity. It's 2018, both. They're both. You can see it on the, yeah, it's a 2018. And basically, you will see that this chalk creates so much acidity that replicates what we call minerality in the wine. So it actually smells of chalk. So that's usually the primary smell on a Chablis. I don't know if you feel it. Sometimes it takes a bit of drinking to get this minerality, chalky minerality of the Chablis. And this is wine number 2 peculiar characteristic. What makes the wine less rustic is just that this flavor makes everything else really more elegant, and you can feel that the body is a bit more, you know, I would say, price point of the Chablis in retail, I have no idea. It should be around 20, 25, something like that. And basically what happens is that like you will feel that the Chablis, as always, you know, is easier somehow to drink. What are you drinking though on the Italian wine is the most famous Verdicchio dei Castelli di Jesi, which is Villa Bucci. Verdicchio is an autochthon white grape from Italy, from Marche, and is considered one of the most complex grapes in the world because it can basically replicate most of the French grape varieties depending on the year. And what happens most of the time is that when he's young, he replicates some of the acidity of the Chablis. The only thing is that like he's always a bit more rounded and he's always peachier. I think that in this you can tell just because, you know, it's a bit, as we said, it's a bit more rustic. But if you take like a Chablis that is made with, I would say, like less technology, it will they will actually be really close. I think that just the Chablis was a bit more refreshing than the Verdicchio. But what I'm saying is like, please write in the chat if you feel that you get a lot of the, I would say, similarities, because like when I drink them, I felt the difference like maybe in the palate profile, but I think on the, especially on the nose, they share so many things together. It's just like that maybe the finish on number 2 sometimes is a bit less, you know, I would say that number 2 lasts longer, and the way it projects is always like good, you know, like let's say if it lasts for 10 seconds or 10 seconds where everything is strong. Like Verdicchio, if it lasts 10 seconds, you have like half of them are really strong and then it just decays out of nowhere. So that's for me the main goal. I think, guys, it's time to jump onto round number 2, if you're ready. And it's summer, it's super hot outside. I don't know, guys, I'm basically, it's been one of the toughest days at home that I have ever had. And I think it's time to complain about the weather again. So let's go on to number 2. So this is what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to start giving you more information about number 2, because this one was 2 different grape varieties, but I am, and I wanted you to go completely blind in it. But now I'm going to give you a bit more. I want this to be even a bit more challenging in a way, and I think that if I give you what is the variety, it would be easier. So the next couple of wines are all Sauvignon Blanc. Both number 3 and number 4 are Sauvignon Blancs. So the thing is, what is a Sauvignon Blanc? So the first 2 grapes that we tasted, Verdicchio and Chardonnay, are not aromatic. So imagine that you are a painter. When you're using Chardonnay, it's like having a white canvas to work on. Instead, when you are with Sauvignon Blanc, you have a canvas. Basically, the painting is already done, because you're just trying to put the colors in a better detail. So the thing is that like everything that you're gonna have is a super full array of flavors, and that's pretty much what you will have. What is the fundamental thing is that there are many characters in a Sauvignon Blanc, but there are 2 that you should remember. The first one is all the flavor profile of the fruit. You will have gooseberry, you will have lemon, lime, you will have peach, nectarine, and sometimes a bit of mango, papaya. So usually in wine, we have always these 3 categories. The first one is the citrus fruit, so lime, lemon. The second one is stone fruit, so peach, nectarine, and tropical, which is, you know, more mango, papaya, passion fruit. You probably will have all 3 of them, and some of you will taste more the peach, some of you will taste more the papaya. The second thing, though, we need to focus is the green part. Absolutely, apple, yeah, green apple. What you need to focus on is what we call the herbal part of Sauvignon Blanc. So Sauvignon Blanc is always really green somehow. So it smells of herbs. Smell of herbs, or I know this sounds a bit poetic, but like wet grass. You know, like when you're in the park, and which it happens. I've been in this country for 10, 12 years. You remember those moments when you are in the park or whatever forest, and everything starts like absolutely raining, and you feel the soaking wet coming from the grass, and that's a flavor that is really distinctive in Sauvignon Blanc. Please tell me in the chat if you want a really good hint about how to catch the Italian one. And I see that some of you have already found some bits. Yeah? A bit more? I'm just, I see. So just to let you know, the tiny hint is that Italy pretty much has a slightly stronger herbal character. So these herbs and wet grasping, sometimes it takes over a bit too much. The smell of cat pee is just a slight part of that. I know that it sounds disgusting. There's one producer, and sometimes it's just a hint. There's one producer, Henry, that just smells of cat pee. I always lived with cats, and literally I know the smell really well, and I never smell like that kind of flavor, but that's really strong in one specific sub zone of Sancerre. So usually when you feel like really strong cat pee, it might be one of those specific wine from France that are coming from a specific soil, which is, by the way, the same one of the Chablis. So guys, taste both of them. So I see that many of you like a lot number 4. I quite like number 4 as well. And I'm a big fan of wine number 3 as well, especially because they are both not new things, but quite. So I wanted to use these 2 wines just to brag about some knowledge that you can brag about after you've been going on. So guys, let's poll again. So let's talk about wine number 3. I want to know if wine number 3 is Italian or French. Let me start the poll. There we go. We're talking about wine number 3, okay? So wine number 3 is French or Italian, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, you know what it is, to be fair, Lucas, I always had some problems regarding, fruit profile. I think that most of the time is, I saw many people that I know, going to Borough Market and start smelling stuff, and I think is absolutely weird. Like if you see someone going around and smell stuff, I would be just like, this guy is crazy. So actually, you know what is the greatest thing? Is just going into extreme wines connection. Like these wines that we're tasting now are always something that connects them. But let's say okay, you want to know how a lemon smells like, you just, let's say, you want to know how a passion fruit is, just buy a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc and you will know straight away that flavor. So I usually, instead of going around and smell fruits, I just drink extreme versions of the wine. At least this is what I do. And it's an excuse to drink more wine. And I think we need way more of them. I know that some of you don't see the poll. So if you don't see the poll, just write it on here and I will keep my mind on top of it. Exactly, the extreme package. Yeah. We do sometimes those things at 67 Pall Mall. No, I'm gonna go technical, Yuko, from the salty thing. This is how it works. pH is connected to how much potassium. So basically, this is what happens. pH is the amount of acidity, technically. Sometimes there in a wine can be only a certain amount of acidity. What happens is that if you have loads and loads and loads of acidity in the tank, the pH, the acidity, starts decaying. But by decaying, the molecules start eating each other. And by eating each other, they die and they create salt. So technically, the saltiness is because the acidity was so high that the pH goes crazy, start to eat each other, boom, and transforms it into potassium, which is salt. And for example, wine number 1, very tasted today, could be a great example of this kind of technical thing. Sorry if I'm going nerdy about it. I don't do it much times. I talk more about you know, poetry stuff in the recent times. So again, if you starting to wonder is 4 is a Riesling, I'll give you an idea. Sometimes, most of the times, Sauvignon Blanc and Riesling, they have loads of things in common because they're both aromatic, and especially when you are in Alsace or stuff like that, Riesling can retain some stuff and just project itself as a really shy Sauvignon Blanc. I know that it's a tough call, guys. I see many of you are like struggling a bit with this. So if you don't have the thing, just tell me what you think. I will be releasing the poll in exactly 30 seconds. So if you don't see it, please write in the chat. And guys, thank you very much. You've been fantastic. You've been like engaging with me a lot. Because if you don't engage, this masterclass will be probably like 1 minute or something. And I hope you're liking the small bottles. I remember the first time that I remember the first time that I received the bottles at home, I was like, wow. So a lot of grapefruit, okay. How did I decide to go into wine? I was a jazz musician and I was working for The Voice UK. And I basically started drinking loads and loads of wine for free because the producers were paying for it. And as musicians, we just look at the wine list and we're just gonna get the most expensive one. And I see that people were getting pissed off. And I started then. I went to a wedding of one of the guys from Universal Music, and he put me in a table with one of the really famous Italian sommelier, and he said, "Oh, you should learn this." And I don't know how I found myself at 67 Pall Mall 3 years ago. Yeah, thank you, Matt, for the concept. It's weird. It's just weird when you arrive. You feel like, the wines are probably all gone, and instead they're like fantastic, and everything is made. Basically, we have like a sort of. I'll try to find a picture of it so you guys can go crazy about it. We have a sort of fish tank, and we do everything on the fish tank. There's a guy on a blog called Word on the Grapevine. It's Joshua. He's a great journalist. Guys, before we go on to this and I'll show you the process, let me end the poll. There we go, guys. Is 38% of you said it's Italian and 63% of you said there is French. I like this because some of you were really strong on the grapefruit profile of number 4, and they called it Italian straight away because it was a bit more rustic again. So is wine number 3 French? Let's see. Let me go through my. So wine number 3 is Dumont de Ballandors from Cancy in the Loire Valley. And 2018 is Ponte del Diavolo Sauvignon Blanc from Friuli. Well done, guys. But I'll tell you what is the similarities. Those are both the new, there are 3 areas that are getting famous for Sauvignon Blanc. One is this Cancy, which basically, okay, when we drank Sauvignon Blanc, usually is Sancerre. Probably you drank Sancerre already. Is the most famous area for Sauvignon Blanc. So imagine this is Sancerre. Moving up, there's this little village of Cancy. And Cancy is now the hottest thing for me. I will put it near a new place in Austria called Styria. I love these 2 areas. I'm trying to get as much wine as I can. And I love Cancy because sometimes Sancerre is overwhelmed with flavors, and there's a lot of that cat pee that we were talking about. And because I've been living with cats since I've been 12 years old, I am really sensible, and sometimes I'm not feeling like drinking cat pee at all. If you get what I mean. Family crisis of You see, it's good. It's good though. Like, let's say that if you fight for wine, it's still okay. And Friuli, guys. First of all, in Friuli, they are deciding now. You know, sometimes people are talking about classic style of wine, and the Friuli Sauvignon Blanc is on the list of what people can consider with climate change the new Sauvignon Blanc. And I thought it was really cool just to go for something that you might not have seen before. So, and you know what is the thing? That's now I'm gonna be really honest. Maggie knows me enough to know my style, and I'm pretty. Usually, I swear like 99% of the time. Uh, but I'm gonna probably be honest on this. Most of the people on Sancerre, like minor producers, because sometimes I'll be honest, I don't want to spend more than 20 pounds on a bottle of wine. Like, let's say 90% of the time. When I'm drunk enough, then I'm, you know, I do some crazy stuff with my wallet. But let's say generally, if I'm with friends, I'm okay with the 20, let's say 20-pound mark is great for me. If I'm going to, you know, these new wine bars, you find me sometimes in yeah, thank you, Maggie. Um, so the thing is that like sometimes producers in Sancerre, and this remains between us guys, let's say you are like in an area that is already famous, you don't have to care that much about producing wines. People are just going to buy the label, right? So if you say Sancerre, you already, you know, that's it. I'm just going to take a Sancerre and that's it. And maybe those guys, they said like, okay, if we need to put, let's say like 10% of effort instead of 100%, we're just going to do it. Instead in Cancy, people are really striving to make this a reality. And there's so much, like the thing is that like when I drank these new wines from Cancy, I see already like that many people are going, you know, they're putting 100% effort in it. And that's something that I, you know, on the human side, sometimes I like to buy wines on the human side as well. I don't know if you do as well, but these guys really deserve more. And I just wanted to you know, to push it down to you. And the Friuli as well. I think the Friuli is, can you feel now, and I'm going to ask you guys in the chat, how herbal this wine is? It's just, even if it's really, they're really close, I would say, but the herbal profile is wild. They call it wild herbs. To me, it doesn't mean anything at all. But can you feel it? Like this wild herbs thing on number 4. That's my go-to when I'm thinking about it. So if you feel it, let me know. So I'll show you quickly how we do these bottles, as you asked. Where is it? So basically, think about it. We do 5 of these tastings a day. We're basically losing our minds. So here it is. Because our tasting are going like from, you know, we do sometimes tasting where like from 100 pounds to, I don't know, sometimes 500, and with really hard stuff that you will not find in the market as well. So that's exciting. So as you can see, this is our, imagine that basically there's, this fish tank is full of argon, which is a gas that is heavier than air. And basically what happened is that like we have 2 gloves that we get inside of it and we just pour the wines and we basically push some argon back. So just to be extra sure, on top of the bottle in a system that is already full of argon, we push extra argon to make sure that the wine is exactly the same. And this is how you got your bottles. So I can tell you I've been on the fish tank. Sometimes we don't use it when the wine is, you know, for example, wine number 1 doesn't need it. But when the situation of the wine gets a bit complicated, we need to use it. Like if a wine is from 1980, you know. So it's time for the only red that we have. So I'm not going to tell you the grape variety. It might be the same. It might be 2 different ones. What I want you guys to go through now, it's we're going to take a longer time for it. So put wine number 5 and wine number 6, because now there are few things that we need to take care of. First of all, color. I think there's I Hi, Tim. Did you see the tank? I just shared the screen. I don't know if you see it. How long will the bottle last if you don't do anything? We don't know, because most of the bottles that we did, we opened them for a long time. We are doing some trials, but you know, we started as COVID arrived, so we don't have like, we would love to see. Let's say then we have a system that is called the caravan. That is basically a small machine that puts argon in it, in the bottle without taking out the cork. And what I can tell you is that they last 6 months to 1 year in total perfection, and up to 2 or 3 years if you have some specific things that you can do, like to protect the bottle. So it's insane. We have some bottles that are really, really old and they are like fantastic, but there are like, you know, certain exceptions to it. So I don't know how much our bottles can last. I hope forever, if there's no oxygen in it. Exactly. 5, as you can see, is more purple, and 6 is more red. I might agree with that. This is, though, not an indication of the place where it comes from. Might be, though, an indication for the grape. So just to give you an idea. Yeah, Burgundy. I drank the oldest Burgundy that I drank 20. I drank 30. I drank some Grand Crus from 46, and they were like fantastic. Tannins in 5 are overpowering. Yeah, tannins in 5 are really strong, but I think in 6, like, I would say that they are both quite high in tannins. Yeah, exactly. You can contact Maggie, just in case if you want to know about Caravan. There's the website there in case. It's great. He's probably, if you're, because I will be honest, I drink wine at work every day. So when I'm a distinct lack of cat pee. Yeah, we're gone. We're done with the cat pee flavor. Yeah, with the Caravan is great. When I'm at home, I drink beer. This is I'm sorry, don't say this to anyone else. But yeah, it's great because with the Caravan I just can Caravan one glass. Oh, believe me, the drinking bit is great. Is the 10 hours minimum a day. No, not 10 hours is minimum a day, but sometimes some services are really intense, you know, because making everybody's happy, it's tricky. That's what I found out. So because everyone has a bit of the tics, and I found out that's I'm gonna be a bit honest, that sometimes I was one of the bad people in restaurants, you know, and there are some things that I changed by doing this job that I wasn't used to. So I'm pretty, I would say, happy that I did that. It changed a lot the way I behave in restaurants. I would say if a dish doesn't arrive for 50 minutes, I don't care anymore. I'm just enjoying it. I'll buy another bottle. I'm asking for a discount though. That's the best trick. Remember, most of the times if there's a fuck up in a restaurant, most of the time you can push it to a discount or some free stuff. I didn't say anything. 5 is all about cherry, really fruity. Yeah, guys, focus now a lot on the flavors profile as well. What do you think about the differences of wine number 5 and wine number 6? Acidity feels higher in 5. Yeah, I think when I tasted them, I felt that acidity was pretty much not the same. Maybe one was more acidic than the other, but they're really pretty close. 5 is more bitter. Yeah, the bitterness might be for the fact that is that grape variety and that is younger on the spectrum. You see, somebody thinks that acidity is higher in 5, some thinks that is acidic more in 6. And I'll tell you, this is not, it's not that some of you is wrong, it's that we are sensible to grape varieties in different ways. Okay, so for example, like what I'll say is that if someone is interested in learning more about wine, it will be great if you do some WSET courses. The level 2 is pretty cheap compared to other courses. And what you learn most of the time is that basically you have sometimes a master of wine or a really good teacher. And what they do is that like basically you calibrate your palate to them. And that's a great thing, you know. Sometimes we want to be like all personal and stuff, but I had great times in basically balancing my palate to someone else, and not because I lose now my, let's say, objectivity, but I know it's like, you know, if we are talking in the world of wine, we're kind of all the same, but this stuff are coming. So sometimes you feel like leather tobacco on 6, 5 very soft, yeah, more body to 5. I think it's time for a poll again. So guys, I'm going to relaunch the poll. The poll is going to be about wine number 5. So you need to let me know if wine number 5 it's Italian or French. I'm going to keep reading the chat. Oh, this is getting interesting. Oh, this is getting interesting. I'll tell you because you need to see it. This is how it goes. So basically, first it's French, then it's Italian, then it's French, then it's Italian. It keeps on changing, guys, all the time. 5 is for Italian, yeah. Too tipsy to tell. I'm telling you, I'm doing so many of these tastings that usually when I'm doing, this is why I taste now in the morning most of the time, because if not, I'm going to be absolutely gone. Waiting for some more of you. Take your time. We're not in a rush. I hope you guys enjoying this. I'm enjoying just going through your chat. Lilac? Absolutely yes. I can still see from the chat that you are just going through Italian and French or mixture of the two. I'm just waiting. 6 Italian, 6 is drinking really well. I do agree. Yeah, because at the end, you know what is the point? Is that at the end, it's not a full bottle, but it's more of an alpha bottle at the end when you count it. Just waiting. There's maybe a couple more onto. I will say I will finish in 30 seconds or so, and then we will see the poll. Guys, use the Q&A if you have, because we're basically this is the last bit. If you have anything that you want to ask about wine or anything in general. No, I know that the nuances bit are pretty gone already, but still, it is a good thing. Think about it, sommeliers are practicing this thing every time because we just chuck down bottles pretty easily. So it's just about, you will see, it's about practice, you know. I remember there's a story in jazz of this guy that was always drunk and playing saxophone drunk, and this other guy was like just drunk and he couldn't play barely saxophone when he was drunk, but he couldn't stop drinking. So he went to him and he said like, "Hey man, you drink so great when you're drunk. What is your secret?" And he said, "Well, the secret is easy. You just need to practice while being drunk." And that's just, and it's not a suggestion. It's just a story that is. Georgian wines fans, great. Bordeaux, now if number 6 is Bordeaux, maybe it's number 5, who knows. So, guys, it's time to end the poll and for me to share your results. Oh, yes, absolutely. I can tell you, Lauren, that I learned a lot while being with a couple of bottles in. Absolutely. Everyone can tell. It's and most of the time you create words out of nothing that people will say, yeah, whatever. But it makes you feel so, so powerful. It's just like, yeah, I'm just going to keep going. So guys, as you can see, 56% of you have said, oh, Matt says a hint of Merlot in number 5. We will see about that. 56% of you have said that the one number 5 is Italian. And that 45% of you thinks that is French. So, I am tempted because this is going to be a great reveal, guys. Not that it's wrong or is right. It's just that a 6 is maybe some Cabernet Franc, they say. Let me see what is the truth in that. There we go. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Wine number 5 is Bordeaux Supérieur from Chateau Mahon-la-Ville. So yeah, there is some Merlot in there, Matt. Absolutely nailed it. Number 6 is a Selva Piana Chianti Rufina from Chianti Classico, near Chianti Classico in Tuscany. This is how it works. I'll tell you now what is the thought behind this. I designed this. I think, okay, to be fair, I thought that wine number 1, like the first round was the hardest one in a way, and you guys nailed that one. This is what happens. In certain Bordeaux that you might drink are coming from specific areas of Bordeaux near Sharpest Chianti. Yeah, absolutely. He is a producer. Selva Piana is one of the, I think they're from the 16th, 17th century. They're amazing. So the point is that, first of all, there's a connection between the two. So you drink Bordeaux now because back in the day, the story tells that, you know, I think it was the king, a specific king of England had the choice to marry the princess of Bordeaux or the princess of Tuscany. And we all know where who won of the two. So the point is that most of the wines, the classic Bordeaux that we drank, are coming from an area near a village called Saint-Julien. And this style has a characteristic of a really red, powerful red fruits and sour cherry. And sometimes we get stuck on that. Oh, no, you can, no worries if you don't get it. That's the point. The point is that, like, these flavor profiles are really close to Bordeaux's profiles. There are some chateaus in the village of Pessac-Legnan that I call Chianti every single time. It's not a reserva. It's just that these guys are so good that they nail every single vintage. We have it by the glass all the time because Selva Piana is one of those Chianti. I have at home a bit of it. And the thing is that, like, the Cab Sauv Merlot component of the Bordeaux tend to be like, you know, some of you call it sweeter. And that's just because, you know, like, it's still making its way. I think it's well done, it's drinkable, but it still has some good bits to go. So I hope you enjoyed this. It was great. I mean, when I tasted the wine, it was great. I'm taking literally 10 minutes. Yeah, the Bordeaux is less tannic. It's just because that's another thing. Structure keeps on evolving with the wine. So it might happen sometimes that a younger wine has a little tannin, and with the passing of the time, the tannin explodes. And sometimes it happens in the glass as well. Or maybe if you haven't finished it, you come back to the glass in an hour and it will be like 10% or up to 50% more of tannins. So that's what happened. I struggle sometimes as well to understand tannins because, you know, maybe you need to drink more tannins as well. Oh yeah, for sure. We can do as I mean, I don't know how it's going to be for us, how much time we will have, but yeah, it would be great to do Old World, New World. We do that all the time. No, thank you guys for everything. I'm just reading your comments down here. Anything, like, let's say I have, let's take up like 10 minutes if you have any questions. No, thank you guys. You've been absolutely fantastic. And for whatever thing, if you are interested, send an email to 67 Pall Mall to know more about also our membership and stuff. One thing to brag about, this is the thing. The good thing about bragging is that, like, if you're good enough, you can brag about everything. That's it just takes a bit of practice. It's the same thing. I started bragging about stuff and people were just mocking me at first, and then I just understand what is the tricks. I think that most of the time the tricks is not letting people, you know, like, there are some ways in which, you know, people are catching you and then you just like start talking about other things, and we do that in wine as well. No, thank you guys all. I know, too clean. I'm gonna mix it up, Matt. I'm gonna mix it up. It's just that like we're getting to that point. But yeah, guys, it's been absolutely fantastic, and thank you all for trusting our system as well. And yeah, it's great. I'm really grateful that you have tried our system, and how great is the emotion when the pack arrives and you see like the little bottles. And I still like, I have one coming on Monday as well, and I am super excited for every single one. But I remember the first one. The first one was one of the best. Maggie, do you want to say something before we end the day? The day we have still so much on, but.
Just to say thank everybody for participating in Me Nelson, you're a star. This was super fun. And if anyone wants to get in touch or know more, I put my email address in the chat function. You could also get in touch with Margot. And I noticed that a couple of you didn't receive your wines in time, and I can only apologize for that. Just get in touch with me and we'll sort something out for you.
I'm just going to reply quickly. I see a couple of more questions before we go. Man, there are so many. I'm just going through. Do you get more drunk if you mix white and red wines? No, you get drunk if you mix alcohol. So let's say like this is the trick. You see, I don't know why I'm skilled in this. Let's say you have a white that is 13% alcohol. If you drink before a red that is 12.5, then it's great. But if you start drinking 11, 15, 13, then it's going to be the end of you. But there's a thing that I like a lot, and is one of the most, is the wrong code, okay? Never do this, but I do it all the time. When you finish your dinner, there are only two options. One is to go with desserts and sweet wine, but the sweet wine is the end. When you drink a sweet wine, you're just like, that's it. Or you drink champagne, one glass of champagne. And then, I don't know why, to me, every time I feel like I started the dinner from the top. And that's dangerous, but it's great. Probably Maggie's going to send an email to you guys, the list of the wines. Some of you thought that 5 and 6 were Pinot Noirs. They're not similar in style, but there's the thing. Wine number 6 is Sangiovese based. Sangiovese is really close. This Sangiovese basically works in an array of flavors and capabilities of flavor profile that they're just basically, from one side can be towards Cabernet Sauvignon, from the other can go to Pinot Noir. So it's good that you can get that you got like confused, because I got confused all the time as well. Wine number 1, you missed the first two ones. The first one is Villa Bucci Verdico de Castelli Iesi from Marche, and number 2 is Domaine Vrignot from Chablis. Alcohol of number 6 should be 13, maximum 13.5. Guys, I'll just add here. You've seen my complete name is Nelson Pari. You can add me if you have any other questions. I have sometimes I am overloaded with work, but most of the time, if I have time, I answer to every question. You find me on Instagram as @NelsonPari, or on Facebook @NelsonPari. You can ask me everything, suggestion for wine. When I have a bit of time, I always talk about that, and I'm always happy to help. So guys, with this, I'll say goodbye to you all, and it has been absolutely great to have this time together. I hope you have a great dinner. I hope you're not too tipsy, or maybe it's a good thing, and we'll see each other soon. Ciao, guys.